I did a teaching on the subject called the way of the patriarchs. Go and listen to it. You will understand life from a deeper realm. Because if you are a baby, your walk with God will be about blessings. What God does for you and what God did not do for you. That is what will determine your walk with God. Life is deeper than that. Your existence is beyond food. It's beyond wine. Your existence is a secret in the spirit. And when your journey on earth is ended, whether you tapped into that secret or not is what will determine your stand in eternity. You saw the life of John. John left the luxury of his father's house, and the Bible said he was in the wilderness until the day of his showing forth. Only for us to realize later, the Bible will say, of all men that lived, it said there was none as great as John. Until Jesus came to open the new order, there was no man as great, as significant as John. A man in the wilderness that was dressed in camel skin, feeding on locusts and white honey. How could he be so important? In fact, that whole generation was given to John as an inheritance. He said, until the time of John, the kingdom suffered violence. That means if you go to heaven and you are looking, by any chance, looking at the history of men, that era, the history of that era is called John. If you everybody that lived in that era is in John. It's called the time of John. So the people who lived in that era before Jesus came, they don't have an identity in Zion outside John. John becomes the identity. The way you open a book and you see this chapter and you see verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, every other person, no matter the impact they make, they are verses in the chapter of John. Hope you know when you go to heaven, you say, books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. The book of life is the story of Jesus. Because it's the one that brought eternal life. All the other books are the dimension that men hosted. So when you read the book of intimacy, that will be the book of Enoch. When you read the book of faith in Zion, that's the book of Abraham. When you read the book of sacrifice, that's the book of Abel. And so everybody that lived by sacrifice in the spirit is a descendant of Abel. So Abel doesn't need to give birth to a biological child to be relevant. It's only among men that you are looking for sons. I say, if I don't have a son, I will marry 3 more wives. In the spirit, we live dynasties that are immortal. And so any man who walks with God in intimacy today is a descendant of Enoch. If you walk in faith, you are a descendant of Abraham. That's why the Bible calls all of us the children of Abraham. Because we are of faith. Those things are more powerful than the things we seek and the things we pursue. But we have not been taught. Even in the world today, as mundane as it is, the white man understands better. That's why you hardly see a white man shouting and crying for a boy. They know impact is superior to physical dynasty. And so they want to invent something. When they invent something, their name is etched on the sand of time. And so when you call Mercedes-Benz, you are calling car Benz. You can never forget him. There's no number of children he would have given birth to that will preserve his dynasty up till now. But that invention, he can never be forgotten. Every time the plane flies on the air, you are hearing about the Wright brothers. They can never die. It's an immortal reality. But men don't know these things.